about to end this man's whole career.
Welcome back to Rusty Wash. My name is Miguel, and on today's episode I want to continue painting my pile of shame. I am super happy to see you here. If this is the first time that you come to the channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and make sure that you leave a like and leave some comments below telling me what you like and what you don't like about the video. Today I also have something very special for you guys. Besides these Metal Hammer Plague Marines that I'm going to paint, I have a challenge that might be a little bit weird, but I think it's gonna be fun and it's gonna make you be active while you paint. So if you're ready, let's get to it. Today, I think I'm gonna start painting the Nurgle miniatures. I'm not gonna be able to finish these today, obviously. I want to try something different with these guys because, you know, there are thousands probably. And actually, that might not be an exaggeration at all. I guess you probably have seen many of these videos on your YouTube account. Because if you're watching these, well, you know, you will have recommendations from all kinds of people on how to paint different miniatures. And among them, Death Guard seems to be a prevalent and very popular topic. It is almost as if all the YouTubers have a rite of passage where they have to paint this type of marines. Now, I'm not gonna pretend I'm a very original person when it comes to tutorials, but in this case, I think I might have overdone it. Anyways, back to the video. I don't know, there are thousands of tutorials on how to paint Nurgle. What I want to do is do it in a Metal Hammer style, a kind of style that they used to have back in the days. I have to do some research, so that's what is gonna be next. This is what I'm talking about, this mixture of green and bony and black colors all over the place. A little bit different to what we're used to see on nowadays on newest Marines. And I think it makes it a little bit, I don't know, more interesting. Everybody has published already how to paint these, they are very uniform, but there is something about those goofy looking second edition paint jobs and miniatures that just makes me so happy. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on, trying to get these color schemes more or less with contrast. This cover art, these ones from second edition, this is the real Warhammer for me. From third edition half, the paint job became much more grim dark. The transition in that time where this workshop made it into more realistic paint jobs. Something was gained, something was lost. Overall, I like the miniatures, but then second edition is life. I love it. I love it. There you go. This image with me. We're gonna stick to the original paint job as much as we can. It's gonna be super fun. It's going to be awesome. This is rush to watch, but there is no rush, you know? Not my job. It's my hobby, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm just gonna focus on these guys, try to achieve this second edition look. So wish me luck. Let me finish this and then we can start with that. So after my analysis of the paint job for the Metal Hammer Nurgle Marines, I decided that I wanted to paint 3 types of plates: black, green and cream color. For the black plates, I'm gonna start with Griff Charger Grey as the base for those. Moving on to the green plates, I'm gonna use Hex Wraith Flame, which is a very bright, very garish looking color, but I think it's going to work great with this Metal Hammer painting style. And last but not least, for the other plates, the ones that are gonna have creamy color and also the metals, I'm gonna start with Skeleton Horde, which is going to build the base for all those things. The miniatures include a lot of details that are like made of bone or horn or something like that. So we're gonna paint basically everything with this color. Everything that we haven't painted yet is gonna be painted with Skeleton Horde. Alright, let's do the second step now. We're gonna darken all the plates, and for the black ones and the metallic elements of the miniatures, I'm gonna use Basilicanum Grey in order to darken these parts.
This is the first time I paint with an air color. The way it actually works reminds me of the old washes, and the color is quite similar but not exactly the same as Belton green. So I'm gonna try this one and see a comparison of how they work together. I had picked up these new colors, the air colors were new for me in my repertoire, and I wanted to use them. So I used Mortarion green on the armor of one of these Space Marines, and I then wanted to compare it with what I showed you before, which is BL10 green and also Weight Watchers green, to see if I had somehow a replacement for this last one. And overall, I was quite pleased with the results that I got from this paint, Mortarion green. So that meant that these paints, the air range that Games Workshop has released, are going to be used in the channel from now on, because they have very interesting colors and their qualities are very good for this method of painting. Moving on to darkening the other area, the one that we painted before with the Skeleton Horde, we're going to use Agarus Dunes here to do that. I was not fully pleased with what I had achieved with the greens, so I used Military Green to make all the different shades of green into more or less something that was more unified. Even though they have different tonalities, this wash, this next wash with Military Green is gonna more or less make them quite equivalent, and it's gonna darken them a little bit further. And now on to the metals. I'm gonna use Iron Breaker to highlight those places that I painted before in brown and are made of metal. The idea here is not to paint everywhere, it's just to highlight in the areas where the rust will chip because of use. This is very important in the knife and edge weapons, and also in the chainmail where the chain links will just move around. For the pistol gun, on the heat dissipator, I'm gonna just highlight everything because I'm gonna give it a couple of glazes later. Pure white is gonna be used to clean those areas that I'm gonna paint later on, such as the tentacles. Why are there so many? Okay, yeah, as I was saying, clean up those areas that you're gonna paint later on with colors, such as the casing of the bolt gun, the tentacles, those skulls that you overdid with washes like I did, and in general, just make sure that the places that you're gonna paint later on are clean and neat. Okay, for those areas that I mentioned before, I'm going to use my red Vallejo wash. And well, I like dropper bottles, but they have also this tendency of decanting, and sometimes you just need to shake them. That's what I use my vortex for. And we're gonna paint the tentacles
YAMETE KUDASAI
with this color, and it's gonna create this nice pink glazing over them. As you can see, there are some servos in the armor that I also painted with this, because we're gonna paint them red as they used to be in Middle Hammer era. Check. Let me see if I can do it like this. Kind of selfie mode. We are on the face, right here. This is what I call the BLEAH face, or the I don't like it face. This is the moment where you have been painting for a while and you don't really like what is happening to the model, and you are tempted to either stop, throw it away, or just start from scratch. Don't do that. All painters have this face. Believe me, it's not only you. Sometimes you just get everything done right, but most often than not, you will find that there is like an impasse. You don't really know what to do next. What happens is that you might get demoralized and you might just stop and not paint at all. But those of us who have experienced this many times, and believe me, you will experience it many times if you're going to be painting models, know that if we push just a little bit more, around the corner is the moment where everything turns. So this is the graph. It's basically like a U curve, yeah? You're starting painting, everything seems to be fine, and then all of a sudden you're falling down, and you're starting to doubt everything that you're doing. But down here is the moment where the blood curve starts to go up again. Put this, okay, this color right here, just made everything look much better. And the reason for that is, in this case, is because the miniatures like these look dirty and they don't have much going on. But once I put that red, it made everything much better. So this is where things turn around. There is a moment in the paint process that everything goes to better. Keep pushing, don't get demoralized, do not stop, keep pushing a little bit further, and around that corner is the paint job done. Believe me. We are nowadays used to things being much easier than they used to be, and well, we have lots of tools at our disposal, but nothing can ever take the place of resilience and just having a stubborn attitude towards getting better at something. At the beginning of the video, I told you I was creating somehow a challenge for me when I paint. The idea is that when we sit down for so many hours, our shoulders are gonna roll forward, our back posture is gonna be awful, and little by little we're gonna lose the posture that we should have. So this I was doing consistently when I was painting, but then I thought, how about I turn it up a notch? Well, you'll see what happens a little bit later. It's been a total discovery for me. The air color range is great. Sigismund yellow glaze. I'm gonna use it to paint all these pustules, all these different details that I want them to look yellowish, and that is gonna make a very nice base for that. After this, I'm gonna use another air color, which is Troll Slayer orange, and with this I'm gonna paint the bolt gun casing, and by watering it down quite a lot actually, I'm gonna create a pin wash that I'm gonna use in different parts of the armor, and it's gonna make these miniatures pop so much. Consider it, orange is almost the opposite of the wheel with green. There are two complementary colors and they work very well when you want to create some contrast, like is this case. So I'm applying it to the joints of the armor and the different parts that are painted metallic to create this rusty appearance, and this is gonna be further the contrast, I mean, with Angron, which I'm going to use to paint now the casing of the guns, which were painted before with the orange. Also, those servos on the armor are gonna be painted red, and as you can see, the plague grenade is also painted red. So a few details here and there, a little bit of red is going to make the miniatures much more vivid, much more interesting, much more Middle Hammer. With Calth Blue Clear, another one of the air colors, I'm going to paint the flies, a few dots here and there on the, I don't want to say this, on the tentacles,
YAMETE KUDASAI.
and also I'm gonna paint the pupils on the pustules that look like eyes. I want to make them look much more interesting just by making them look like eyes. The plasma gun on the leader, I also gave it a glaze on the heat dissipator on the front of the gun, and I just touch up here and there with the blue just to make everything a little bit more interesting. I was enjoying this combination of exercise and painting, so it gives you a pace, it gives you some time to rest, and then you can do anything that you want, like some push-ups or pull-ups or whatever, a plank. And I thought, this is a good idea. I mean, please don't judge my form, I know it's awful, but in general, it was a good idea. So maybe you would like to try what I'm going to propose now. Whatever you want, but just hear me out, okay? Check out this beautiful Sunday. Some clouds in the horizon. Looks like a great day. We paint a little bit. And here comes the best part of painting actually. It's when you start doing those final details that make the miniature just come around, and I don't know, is that sense of completion, of finishing something. Somebody posted a very good question the other day on a Facebook group, and it was like, why do people rush sometimes to finish miniatures? And I think this is it. It's that sensation of finishing something, getting something completed, and going through the process, and just seeing the fruits of your toils come to place. Cool story, bro. The idea, Miguel, the idea. Yesterday's session gave me the idea of doing something. Every time that I slap a new color, I'm gonna do 20 push-ups and 20 pull-ups, and that way I'm gonna compensate for the fact that the gym is closed. I think it's a good challenge because that way I'm gonna force myself to exercise, and otherwise it will be too many hours sitting down. It's time to rush the wash and do some pull-ups. Bruh. See you there on the table. It's time to wrap up this tutorial. Let's get to the fine details now, the finishing touches. And for this I'm gonna use Magus Purple to darken the red areas in the miniature. Painting rust with Magus Purple also benefits from it because it makes it much better, and also you can paint the tentacles. Oh, for f***'s sake! Anyways, just touch up those places in red, in the rust, and etc. using a little bit of Magus Purple, and you will not regret it. Time to paint the middle hammer bases. I'm gonna start with Hex Wraith, and because I finished with the previous color, well, it's time to take the challenges. 20 pull-ups, 20 push-ups. That way I can make sure that I keep a little bit of exercise within my routine, for, you know, it's a little bit difficult to keep up when you don't have a gym, but your own weight calisthenics is good enough to keep yourself strong and fit. So do that. Now it's time for the bases to dry. I finished this color, another 20 push-ups, another 20 pull-ups, and I'm gonna use a little bit of Seraphim Sepia to darken some areas that I think might need a little bit of retouching. Seraphim Sepia is one of the most versatile washes that we have in this brand, and because I highlighted the bones before with white again, I'm gonna just retouch here and there and do a little bit of stippling on the metals and on certain areas of the armor, just to create a little bit more rust. Last but not least, I'm going to do a little bit of extra highlights on the tentacles. Okay, and the idea is here to create a pattern with very thin lines in order to make them look like the rings of a worm. I'm also highlighting certain areas that I think need an extra small highlight. Those are basically, you know, the bones, like the skulls, the eyebrows on the skulls, the teeth on the skulls, and also the eyes and other areas in the faces that I think they need an extra oomph, for lack of a better word, like 52mm says. To finish off the bases, I'm going to use now Warp Lightning Contrast to paint on top of the Hex Wraith, and in this way I'm gonna darken that sand and make it look a little bit more like the Middle Hammer era sand. Well, these dudes are done, with the exception of the black trim around the bases. They have dried now. Black trim, the pull-ups, the push-ups. I don't know how many pull-ups I can do in a day. This is worse than the gym. Alright, wish me luck. What a nice afternoon, guys.
Well, my sense is that if you want to change the world, you start from yourself and work outward, because you build your competence that way. It's like, I don't know how you can go out and protest the structure of the entire system if you can't keep your room organized. That's just not right. How much is our own corruption contributing to that? You're angry, you're resentful, you're lazy, you have inertia. That place over there could use a little work. So you clean that up because you can. And then things are a little clearer around you. And so you're a little stronger, and then something else manifests itself and says, well, maybe you could like take a crack at fixing me up too. And you mess with it at your peril. So, and can you even clean up your own room? No. Well, you should think about that. You should think about that. Because if you can't even clean up your own room, who the hell are you to give advice to the world?
Abaddon Black is the color that I'm going to use to paint that trim, but I think that it needs a little bit more liquid in it, because it's kind of dry. So what I use is actually my FW Taylor Rowney ink. You can use any kind of ink that is black, and I mix it thoroughly with the use of my vortex and a couple of beads, so it becomes this liquid consistency. I found out that doing this with white and black actually makes this color much more easy to manage, very vibrant, and you don't lose many pigment at all. You're basically enriching the color. I let them dry, and now it's just time for me to wash the brushes, because after these many days, that much rust, that many colors, well, the paint has a tendency to go in there near the ferrule, and this can make your brushes go very bad very soon. I use my favorite brush cleaner, the Masters, and I just give it a nice wash, and as you can see, soon enough it's gonna be good as new. If you want to get this and other things that I use in this tutorial, please make sure that you check the links below. It helps the channel tremendously whenever you buy something from those links, and it gives me a small commission at no extra cost for you.
That cream, pure vanilla, sweeteners.
And that's it for the tutorial. It's been a very interesting experience trying to paint these guys using middle hammer colors. I thoroughly enjoy the paint job because when you have 3 miniatures, not that many, and having, you know, trying to get to something that you have a vision for, and experimenting with new colors and trying new things like the air colors from Games Workshop, which by the way surprised me quite a lot, well, this has been quite fun. If you got up to here without doing so, please consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. My name is Miguel, un beso, adios.